So I have been seeing a term floating around a lot that actually kind of matches my feeling of what I had experienced, and it's called soft bigotry. Or the soft bigotry of low expectations. What made me think about this was a little bit ago, I had a conversation with somebody on Facebook. This person, I don't know them too well. They're friends of my extended family, my immediate family. We're just kind of acquaintance with this person. So we were. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but anyway, somehow the conversation ended up on Mexico and the people that come in to America from Mexico and how they all, most of the time, are doing low skill labor and low paying jobs and stuff like that. And I don't remember exactly what was said, but basically I said something to the effect of like, oh, it really sucks that these people don't have a good education. It really sucks that they're held down by a corrupt government who won't let them get educated. At the very least, makes it harder for them to get a good education, thus harder for them to lift the country in general out of the hole that it's in. I do understand right now that they are actually implementing public school systems with the intention of helping their all of the citizens of the country, which is fantastic, and I'm super glad to hear that because that's exactly what they've been needing. And my understanding is actually there's a lot of brilliant people in Mexico that were not able to be discovered or discover their own brilliance because they didn't have an education system in place to encourage them to find it. So that's kind of along the lines of what I said. I didn't say it quite so elegant. I don't know if it was really elegant, but I didn't say quite as much. I said just kind of a little more compact. His response really confused me. It really confused me until I thought about other things, but his response was, no. The Mexican people aren't held down by a government that is corrupt, and the fact that they don't have access to good education, and the fact that most of them are in like abject poverty, and the fact that everybody is clamoring for money all the time. A lot of times kids get pulled out of school to go help on the farmlands because there's just a lot of farming communities out there still. That's typically what happens in countries like that where there's a lot of farming. Kids get pulled out of school early to help. That's what happened in America up until pretty recently, I think. Anyway, it wasn't any of that. It wasn't any of that he thought was holding them down. And I want everybody to prepare themselves because I was honestly shocked and I have to prepare myself to even say it. The reason the Mexican people, according to this guy, the reason they're held down and not able to get ahead and, take the corruption out of their government, or at least see that, is because they are genetically unable or incapable of critical thinking. And genetically, they are predisposed to manufacturing. Okay, so where to start with that whole statement? That's such bigotry. Wow. Where's my Doge picture? Like, seriously, holy crap, I was just so shocked to read that on my screen from this person who left the US because he thought Vietnam was a racist war. Okay, so anyway, Mexican isn't a race, it's how you describe a countryman of Mexico. So there's that, first of all. So that means that people in Mexico, it can't be their genetic predisposition to not be able to critically think. On top of that, I said something along the lines of like, oh, well, it's because they don't have a good education, they can't critically think. I was actually wrong. They can critically think, actually, if you think about it. There's a big farming community in Mexico still because, obviously, there's going to be a big farming community. That's how, I'm pretty sure that's like where they make a lot of their money is at some point. As a farmer, you have to know about your crops. You have to know how they're going to grow. You have to know what season to plant them. You have to know when you're going to need to save so you can eat through the months that you can't grow your regular crop. And you have to know when you have to plan for surpluses so you can make some money. And everything that goes into farming and maintaining farmland and selling, buying, thinking about the different crops you're going to use, that all requires extremely critical thinking. So there are people in Mexico who don't have a formal education to speak, of any kind to speak, they critically think all the time. They critically think to live. So that was like, how can you say that a whole country of people can't critically think because they're genetically predisposed to manufacturing? Oh, that was the other thing. He said the only reason they're not good at, or the only reason the country is like that is because they're better at putting things together with their hands instead of thinking about the future, which is what critical thinking is thinking and planning about the future, or thinking of causes and consequences. So I was like, okay, so first of all, this person is such a bigot. Wow. Like, this person, by the way, constantly preaches about how everybody should be tolerated, and how, like, oh, these people, like, these conservatives are so evil and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so by assuming an entire country of people can't do something for themselves, and assuming it's assuming it's because of their race, that these people can't bring themselves up out of a corrupt government. Like, what happened? I don't understand. And so, okay, so, like, this kind of brings me to the whole thing where that bothers me about a lot of these people who tend to preach tolerance and say stuff like, oh, well, you know, you're racist for thinking that. Oh, that's cultural appropriation or something. All of these people, they all argue for illegal immigrants to stay in the U.S. Now, on a personal level, immigrant to immigrant, or illegal immigrant to illegal immigrant, obviously you're going to have your good people who just came here because they literally want to live and they didn't have the resources to go through the system, because the system does take a long time. I believe there could be a reform. I don't know. On the other hand, you have the bad illegal people coming in, like, you know, the illegal immigrants. They came here because they're being hunted down in Mexico for their crimes, or wherever they're from, for their crimes. So they come here to escape, and they just continue their regular lifestyle of crime. This is not a race thing. This is just a people thing. If I was a criminal in the U.S. and I was fleeing the U.S. to go to another country, I don't think I would just suddenly stop being a criminal in that new country. I think I would continue to be a criminal. Okay, so that aside, these people that argue for the illegal immigrants to stay here, and why we shouldn't be deporting them or something, like the argument I always hear from people about why we shouldn't be deporting illegal immigrants, which is like, oh my god, but they say that the reason we shouldn't deport these people is because, well, who's gonna pick our cabbages from the hot field? Who's gonna wash our toilets? Who's gonna do low-skill, laborious jobs for us? And I don't know if they understand what they're talking about, but if we just kind of take this thought process a little further, they're saying they want a class of people that does low-paying, low-skilled jobs. So that means that these people don't have an education. They don't have any kind of skill as far as like a marketable skill, like woodworking, metalworking, such and such and such. They just want you to clean their stuff. They just want you to pick their food. Oh, who's gonna cook our food on the nice little trucks for us? Like, okay, so now that we said all that, I want people who say stuff like that to understand what you are advocating for is a form of slavery. Yeah, these people get money for their work, but I assure you it is slave wages. A lot of illegal immigrants that come in here and work and are hired, they are often paid a lot less than minimum wage. Even the federal minimum wage, they're not paid, they're barely paid that. And I know that for a fact. I've worked with some of these people going into jobs. And it's so shocking to hear that from people who are always like, oh, slavery was so bad that we have to give reparations to a whole race of people just based on their skin color. Like, we're not going to look into their history. We're not going to look at anything else that's going on in their life. Their skin color means that we have to give them reparations. Those same people are saying that we need illegal immigrants here in the country to pick our food from the field, to clean our toilets, to mow our lawns, to do jobs that no one else wants to do. Are you listening to yourself? Wow. Just hurts me. Like, if you're against slavery, you should be against illegal immigrants coming in here and working for less than minimum wage. That's just inhumane, okay? You know, illegal immigrants are gonna be here regardless. They're gonna take what money they can get regardless. Me saying this isn't gonna necessarily change anything, but I just wanted to talk about it because it was just kind of like driving me nuts. Like, why would you say stuff like we need to give reparations to people because we used to enslave that race, but then turn around and say, oh no, because we're paying you like $2 an hour, $2 a day, you should be happy to be here and working for us. You should be happy even if you didn't get here legally. Your job and your livelihood solely depends on your employer and them not reporting you to the police. No, we think you should just be able to live here on less than minimum wage, $3 an hour, you know, if we're feeling generous. We just don't want to do all that stuff ourselves, you know? We don't want to clean our own toilets. We don't want to pick up the trash. We want other people to do that for us. You know, we just want a slave class to do that for us. Do you not see how that is? Do you not see how the bigotry like literally is like the bigotry of saying that since immigrants from Mexico can't critically think that we should just employ them for less than minimum wage and they'll be happy about it. I don't think any of those people that illegally or legally immigrated here, I don't think any of them want to pick vegetables for you. I don't think any of them want to sit there in the hot sun all day plowing fields or whatever so you can just sit there and be like, oh, this vegetable is delicious and organic. Mwah. Anyway, I don't know. That's kind of the basic thoughts I have. My dad immigrated here legally, so I also have that kind of like, you should try and do it legally. My dad came here. It took him a long time, but it was all legal. I don't know. Anyway, that's just me. If you have any thoughts to add, if you have any kind of insight that you want to add to this, please tell me because I want to know about it. I want to hear about it. All that stuff. Anyway, thanks. Bye.